Welcome to the very first episode of the KitchenSix podcast. I'm KitchenSix. Well, actually, I'm Nellie, but I'm also known as KitchenSix, and I'm on Instagram and Ravelry and YouTube as KitchenSix. So you can find me in those places. This is a knitting and making podcast. It'll probably have some cooking in it too, because food. And yeah, so I'm a newish knitter. I've been knitting for 7 months, so I'm not an expert. So if you're looking for an expert, probably go find somebody else. There's so many great knitters out there, and so many of them are on YouTube that you'll be able to find somebody way more awesome than me. I am, however, interested in participating in the knitter podcast community because I have gotten so much joy from watching other people's podcasts and just feeling like I'm involved in their life. It's like knit group for, yeah. Anyway, so I just wanted to be part of that, and maybe people will enjoy watching me as much as I have enjoyed watching all of the other people, and there's so many of them. Let's see what else. I guess that's about it for why I'm podcasting. This may or may not get posted. We'll see. To be determined. So let's go right into the knitting. How about that just happened? Boom. That's those are my finished objects. But since this is my first podcast and I'm a newish knitter, I don't really have a whole lot of finished projects. I'm just going to show you a couple of things that I've made recently, and by recent, one of them is a couple of months old. But yeah, that's how it goes. So we'll start with my favorite thing. This is a hat that I made up. I just did a 1x1 rib, and then I did this cool spirally decrease that I just sort of figured out on my own, and I made it for me because the hat that I had that I loved, that was my cozy I don't feel good hat, died, and this one's a good sub. But it fits me really well, and it's really, really nice. It is Ella Ray lace merino worsted, and it says extra fine superwash merino wool. It is made in Italy, and the color is cherry, and it's really just this gorgeous reddish pink, and it's matches a lot of all of the things for me. So that's my hat. I've also, last week I think I finished another hat. This is a gift for someone. This is called the Jacques Cousteau hat. It's really big on me, but it should fit who it's made for just fine. The decreases on this are really cool, if you can see them. I don't know if you can see them that well. Hopefully you can. It came out just a wee bit pointy. Most of it blocked out, but it's still got a little bit of a point to it. And that's the way the decreases just worked out. So the yarn for that, it's all in my little notebooky thing. The yarn for that is it's Cascade Longwood Superwash Extra Fine Merino in a worsted weight, and the color is color number 16. And it's just this really nice dark olivey color. The person who it's for likes to sail and to scuba dive, I guess is the word for it. So I figured this would be a Jacques Cousteau hat would be appropriate. But yeah, so I need to send that off. And then, what else about the this is called, this is a honey cowl. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. You can see the stitch pattern up close this way. It's a slip stitch pattern, and it's called the Honey Cowl. It's by Anna Maria, and I knit it for an acquaintance, a very helpful, awesomely helpful acquaintance. So she gets a present, a really cool, awesome present. And the yarn is, it's called Stonehenge Fiber Mill Shepherd's Wool, and it's a worsted weight, just basic wool, and I don't think it's merino, it's just wool. It doesn't give me a breed of wool, it just says wool. And the color is lime green, which this is one of my favorite colors in the whole world. I'm not kidding. Okay, so that's things that I've made. I've made a lot more stuff, but a lot of them, I make a lot of things that are gifts. I've noticed, especially in the last year, that a lot of my things that I make are for other people. I very rarely make things for me. So a lot of the time when I make something, I make it and then I do all the things and then I send it off or take it to somebody or hand it off. I've been slow getting these out, so that's the only reason you get to see them. Because normally I would have had them out by now. Let's see, what's doing it and doing it and doing it. Wow, that's what's up next. So what I'm working on, I have a few things that I'm working on, which it's not supposed to be like that this year. Last year was very helter-skelter when I was learning to knit, but this year I was supposed to be very intentional, and I think I still am. It seems like I have too much going on right now because some things came up. So this is a hat. It's called the Castile hat. It's by Woolly Wormhead. You can see the lace rib pattern. It's such a pretty pattern. I really like how it's turning out. I want it to be super slouchy, so I'm probably going to put another inch or two on it. I didn't measure, but I think it's about 8 inches, maybe 7.5. So I want it to be about 9, 9.5, 10 maybe, depending on how the size looks when I put it on at 9 inches. But the yarn is, I just blanked on the yarn. It's Malabrigo Arroyo, and it's the Reflecting Pool colorway. That sounds right. I'm pretty sure it's it's the Reflecting Pool colorway. So, but it's really nice to work with. It's really, really soft. It's doing such a good job with these stitches, and I really, really, really like how it's coming out. But it's a gift for somebody. I'm actually supposed to have it done by tonight and blocked for tomorrow because it's her birthday party tomorrow, which is a whole craziness that I really, really don't want to do, but I get to do anyway. But this is going along really, really nicely, and it's just such a nice lace pattern, and it's such a great yarn. I'm really enjoying working on it. But it's definitely not mindless. You have to pay attention because of the lace pattern. So that's in progress, and that should be finished soon. The other thing that I have going on, I cast this on a day and a half ago, and I've only kind of been working on it a few minutes a day. I have until next, I think, Thursday to finish this. This is a hat for my daughter. It's just a basic rolled brim stockinette stitch hat. I'll probably do the spiral decreases from my cozy hat to finish it off because I just need it to be simple and easy. My daughter she came home and said she needed a white hat to go with her metallic black outfit for a performance that she's doing next week. So I'm knitting this out of some Red Heart Soft in white, and it's going really fast and really easy and simple, and it should be done probably in a day or two, depending on how much I knit on it. But it's really, really fast and really, really simple. So, oh, sorry, I have yarn on my face. The last, well, not really last thing, the next thing that I'm working on, it's done in baby alpaca. It's Plymouth Yarn Baby Alpaca Grande hand dye. And it's a good bulky yarn, but it's really, really pretty. Like, okay, so here's the ball, and I had it caked up, and then I've ripped it out repeatedly. So I have it mostly hand-balled now. But the yarn is just so fluffy. Can you see how fluffy it is? It's so fluffy. It's so soft, and it's so nice, and it's a blend of, no, it's not a blend, it's 100% baby alpaca. I thought it was a blend. It's complete, and it's just so nice. I was a little worried because some of the podcasters that I watch have mentioned that alpaca can be itchy, but it's seriously just the soft. It feels like cotton balls. It's so squishy. Yeah, I just smelled it. It's okay. So I was making a seeds. Okay, now let's start at the beginning. I did make a seed stitch hat for my daughter because she picked this yarn out and wanted something out of it. But the way that the pattern came out, it didn't quite fit her. It was too wide and it was too short. And a couple of days ago, I asked her where her alpaca hat was, and she did a big sigh and I was like, "Oh, it's not working." And she's 11, going on like 15 or 20. So she told me that it wasn't working for her, and then she said that could I redo it? So she said it was too wide and it was too short and it just wasn't right, and could I make it right? So she brought the hat back down, and I finally found the ends and ripped them out and ripped the whole hat out back down to nothing, essentially, and then I restarted it with fewer stitches, and I was gonna knit it longer, but I got about halfway through and I realized that it was still coming out really like baggy in the seed stitch area. Like the ribbing was fine and the ribbing fits great, but like as soon as it got to the seed stitch area, it would like pouch out, and she didn't like that and I didn't like the look of it either. So I ripped it back down to the ribbing again. Well, almost to the ribbing. I ripped it to the first purl row that starts off the seed stitch. So that's where I am now. I have it down to the purl row, and then I'm just doing a stockinette because the seed stitch is obviously not going to work. I changed the needles. I started it on an 11, size 11 US, which is, I don't have it with me. Oh, you know what? I have this. Size 11 US, which is 8mm, and then I moved it down to a size 8 US, which is a 5mm. So the ribbing was done in the 8mm, and I'm doing a stockinette in the 5mm, and it's doing this weird, I don't know if you can see, but it has this bowed out part here, and then it goes in. So I don't know if she's gonna like it. So I'm going to probably not knit a whole lot on it until she gets home, because she's at school. And then I'll have her decide whether or not she likes it. And I think if I just rip back past that first purl stitch and then start stockinette, maybe a little looser, it'll be fine. But if she doesn't like it, I'm probably going to have to rip it back and do the whole thing on the 5mm. Yeah, and the needles that I'm using, and I'm using them for all of the things, are Chow Goose. I have Chago interchangeables with the holes in them, and then I have several, I think this one's, yeah, this is just a regular one. It's just a regular 16-inch one. And I'm a very new knitter. I just started knitting in June, and we'll get to that a little later. But I don't have a whole lot of needles, so I'm trying to do it in a responsible way, because I don't want to just buy a whole bunch of equipment and then realize that I hate the craft or whatever, because that's happened before. But I am trying to get enough that I feel like I have enough to do the things that I want to do. So some of the needles that I'm using were gifts for Christmas, and by very wonderful, generous, awesome people. And some of the needles are what fit into the budget when I needed that needle for that size. But I've been working for the last 6 months at building up my supply of needles, because when you start out, you don't really have a whole lot, and they're kind of expensive sometimes to just go buy all the things that you need. So anyway, so I have them on Chagoos, and I love Chagoos. I've used bamboos, and I've used like the regular kind of needles that you can get at just like Joann's. I think they're like Boy or something. I like the pointiness, because look how pointy these are. So pointy. And they're actually like quite sharp. Like you can see, it marks my finger. Yeah. So if I'm knitting a lot, sometimes I get a dent in my finger. Marsha knows all about that from the KitchenSix podcast. But the Chagoos they slide really nice, they work really nice, and they're stainless steel, which is important because I am allergic to nickel, and my hands will rash out if I use nickel. So things that are made with nickel, like some of the Addies, which I've heard great things about, are probably not going to be good for me. And I might try them just to be sure, but it would be a waste of money for me to buy them and then realize that I can't use them because I'm allergic to them. That would be silly. So I've just gone with the Chagoos because they're stainless steel, and I really, really, I've heard great things about them, and they work really great for me, and they're awesome. I do like the feel of wood, but I can't get wood that's as sharp as my Chagoos, so I'm just living with it. All right, so, and that's the alpaca hat. Again, for my daughter, she gets a lot of the things that I make because she appreciates them, which I appreciate. Oh, so this is, and I took this out of the plastic bag that I usually keep it in so that you guys wouldn't have to hear the crinkling. This is my first sock project, and okay, before you laugh, I know it's wonky. I know. I learned to knit, literally learned to knit the 24th of June in 2015, and I cast on socks in August. I'm not kidding. That's how quickly I went to socks. And so I have these. They're not blocked, well, because I'm still knitting the other one, but this is the first one. And if you've seen me on Instagram, you've seen this sock on Instagram. I did a 2x2 rib all the way down, and then I'm just doing the basic slip stitch heel, and I don't know what, it's like a narrow pointed heel, which is interesting, but it's the first one. And then I looked up instructions for an angled toe, and I did that, and then I don't know if you can see how bad my Kitchener is, but this is my first ever Kitchener, so please just bear with me. Like, it's really bad. And I had a long time knitter go, oh, well, your Kitchener's off. And I'm like, it's the first time I've Kitchenered. Calm down. So I'm this way. I'm most of the way, actually, I think I'm at the point where I need to, no, I have a little bit more. I have like 3 more rows until I have to, because they're, I don't know how I did it, but I somehow made them matching. Or maybe I wound off yarn until they matched. But I'm really close to the point where I need to do the heel turn. So I just have like 2 or 3 more rows, I think. But I cast this on in August. And I finished the first one in like a week and a half, and then I started on the second one, but then, so Christmas came up, that's a thing, and I'm a very, very scattered person in general. I struggle with keeping focused on what I'm supposed to be doing, and what I need to be doing, and what I want to be doing, and I just, yeah. So I got distracted with all the things that I wanted to make for other people and put away the thing for me, which is pretty normal. But that's on my list of things to do for this year. I have it on a plan. And then the last thing that I'm making is a crochet project. It's a blanket. And I hate it a lot. But it's a really pretty color, and it's not for me. So, and the needle is missing. Where's my hook? Okay, well, I seem to have lost my crochet hook, but this is how far I am into a basic wave blanket done in crochet. And it's really cute, and it's really pretty, and it's that Lion brand thick and quick, like homespun, and it's really chunky, and it goes really fast. But I'm not as fond of crocheting as I am of knitting, and I don't really like this yarn. It's such a pretty color. I just wish it felt nicer on my hands. So I put it down a lot, because I don't want to do it. And this is my 3rd attempt at a blanket with this yarn, because every time I make one with this yarn, it comes out askew. Like, I tried to make a square blanket and it came out as a trapezoid, and yeah, so so that's one of the last things that I'm making, and I don't know when the projected date for that to be finished is going to be, but it probably won't be in January. So that is all of the things that I'm currently knitting and crocheting. Just let me look at my notes, because I actually wrote notes because I'm so scattered. So that's all for the doing it. Wow. Oh, all the shiny pretty things. Okay, so told you I got, for Christmas, I got needles for Christmas, right? I didn't just get needles, I got needles and I got yarn, which is kind of a big deal. And I got some books too. So, this is a book that I got. It's called Crochet Motifs Beyond the Square, and it has like, what, 100 and something different crochet motifs, and some of them are like interesting shapes and rectangles and hearts and octagons and triangles. And so my daughter, when she saw me open this book and went, "Ooh, how pretty is that? Can you make me a rug out of one of those?" Yeah, so there's like that one's really pretty. So there's a whole bunch of different motifs and things in here so that I could make blankets or tablecloths or, but here's the problem. The person who got me this book, I love them dearly. I don't really like crocheting. I don't really like crocheting. I really don't. I do like to make things, and if crochet is the only way that I can do that, I'll do that. But since I found knitting, crochet just seems like so much tedious work. Knitting is easy and fun, and it's lively, and it makes me happy, and it soothes me. But crocheting frustrates me. It makes me want to throw things. So, great book, and if I ever need to make something with a bunch of little things in it, I might use some of the motifs from that book. But yeah, it might end up going to my daughter. She does actually crochet and she appreciates it. So the other thing that I got was needles. So I told you I have ChowGoo interchangeables, and that is because my dear friend got me the starter set of ChowGoo interchangeable needles, and they're the 4-inch ones, so these plus an 8-inch cable makes a 16-inch hat one, and so I have sizes 2 through 8. You can see that I've got things on the needles already, or they're already being used, and I have cables to go with them. The cool part is these little cases also came with a little measuring tool and some stitch markers, some really cute little stitch markers. I don't know if I don't think mine are in here. And it came with 2 of the smaller cables to make hats with, and 1 long cable to do other stuff with. So I was really, truly excited to get these because, like I said, I really like the ChowGoo needles, and they really work well for me. And my fabulous, amazing mother-in-law, who I'm making that blanket for, which is why I'm going to continue making the blanket, because my mother-in-law is amazing. She got me a set of ChowGoo DPNs, and these are the sock sizes. So I have, what is it, let me read, a 0, which is a 2.0 millimeter, so it's a 2 millimeter, and then I have a size 3, which is a 3.25 millimeter. But I have 6 sizes up to 3.25. So, yeah. So I'm guessing 0, 1, 2, 3, maybe? I don't think these are a 4. No, these are a 3. So I have a bunch of different smaller sizes and larger sizes. It's essentially for socks, which is exactly what I want it for, because they're kind of cool. And they're nice and pointy, and they work really well, and I still have to put the sock project that I'm working on these. But I did, I seriously had something that I was doing that, I think it was yoga socks, I think. Yes, it was pink yoga socks that I was making for my mom. The second I got these, I switched that project over to these, because I had them on some bamboo ones, and the bamboo are okay, but the ChowGoo are really nice. So I moved them over. And then the other thing that I got for Christmas is yarn. Really, I know, you're surprised. And I'm just going to show you a little bit, like one of the things. I'll show you again later, stuff that I got for Christmas that my husband got me. But the one that I'm going to show you right now is Madeline Tosh, and it is, it's called the Worn Denim colorway, and it's a little greener than that, but that's really close. But it's just so pretty. I'm really in love with how this looks. So this is the Tosh Merino Light, and it's 100% superwash merino, and it's a fingering weight, and it's for the reason that I learned to knit. So the reason that I learned to knit was because I was watching a podcast. I was still crocheting at this time, and so I was watching a podcast, and there's only so many crocheters on YouTube, so I had switched to knitters on YouTube because they're making things too. And somebody, I can't even remember who it was, showed off their Hito Fude that they had made, and I fell in love. I had to have one, which the only way to get a Hito Fude is to know a knitter or be a knitter. So, so I learned to knit, and this yarn, about half of it was a gift, and half of it I purchased for the Hito Fude. And if you don't know what the Hito Fude is, it's a cardigan. It's a lace cardigan, and it's stunning. It's just gorgeous, and it's knit all in one go, and it's really just, it's really pretty. You should look it up on Ravelry. It's not expensive. It's like 200 yen or something. Maybe it was 600 yen. I don't know. It works out to like $2. I'm not kidding. It should be more expensive. So if you're looking for something really pretty to knit and wear, I would go with the Hitofude. But this is what my Hitofude is going to be in, and I have already caked up one of the hanks because I really am looking forward to starting it. I should be starting it. I'm hoping to start it probably Sunday. But I've been hoping to start it for a week and a half now, so yeah. So that's in my cute little canvas tote that I found at a Goodwill years ago. It's a charity shop. But yeah, so that's ready to go on the needles soon. What else? I think that's all the pretty things. Okay, so what you got cooking? What you got cooking is a couple of things. It's what I'm gonna do next, which I've already shared with you. One is the Hitofude, and another is another hat for that girl of mine. She asked for Christmas for a chartreuse hat. So I found this. Isn't that bright chartreuse? Look at how bright it is. It's so bright. And it, like, there you go. That's a good representation of the color. It's so pretty. And it's so much fun. So I've cast this on probably twice. It's destined to be a bushwalk beanie, which is a lacy hat pattern. I have it here. I'll pull it out. It's a lacy hat pattern done by Amy Vandelar. She's from New Zealand. And the yarn's right. I'm a new knitter, so I struggle sometimes getting things right and started correctly. So that's been fun. But I've ripped it out a couple of times because it's just not working, and then I got a bad set of needles that I'm returning, so I took it off of those, and yeah, so I'm probably going to start that not this month, but early next month, because her birthday is coming up in April, and I don't want to rush. That's another key for me this year, not rushing. So because it's the new year, I'm going to share with you my goals for the year. And really my goals are to be kind to myself and to be more intentional. And they kind of play together, because when I'm not intentional, I tend to push myself to go and do and be and work harder than I am capable of doing, because I'm just not as good at managing all the things as I used to be. And that's a whole thing too. But I am definitely part of being kinder to myself and letting myself relax is being intentional about the projects I take on, the things I volunteer for, the way that I'm running my family, that kind of thing. So I made a plan, a knitting plan for the year. Like I in my lovely, isn't this gorgeous? My lovely notebook that I made a plan of things to do, and I think I was originally super ambitious, but I think I'm understanding just how much now I can get done in a month, and I think I'm getting there. So I think I need to be a little less ambitious about the projects that I'm working on, and I might need to rearrange some of the things on my schedule, because there's a lot for February already, and I don't know that most of it's hats though, so it might actually work, especially if I pick patterns that I already am familiar with. But so I'm intentionally choosing projects and times to do them and time frames to do them so that I'm not rushing and trying to finish all the things. That's not to say that my daughter won't go, hey mommy, can I have a blah blah blah, insert working project here. But yeah, she's kind of cute, so I tend to spoil her. Oh, and my sock. I learned to knit the sock with this book, which I actually really appreciate because I had no idea what I was doing. And it has recipes for a bunch of different socks, and there's a couple of different styles and stuff in here too, some lacy ones, and yeah, so that's where I got the pattern from, and the basic pattern, and how I learned how to do the heel turn and all this stuff. It's got good clear pictures, and it's got good clear incisive destruction. Decisive instructions, if I can speak. Sorry if you're hearing the road noise. We have a busy road behind our house, so people like to be stupid on it. So we get a lot of that noise sometimes. So what else is cooking? Well, I make all of our meal plans, and that KitchenSix part really does apply. Okay, so I'm a veteran, and my husband is currently in the service, and he's in the Army. And in the Army, there's some, like, numbers represent people, essentially. It's not always, but for like standard everyday stuff, the 6 is the commander and the 7 is the first sergeant or lead NCO or whatever. So KitchenSix means I am the commander of the kitchen, which sounds weird to say out loud, but Army people generally get it. I'm working on moving us to a mostly plant-based diet. So I'm using this book, Forks Over Knives. It's a mostly oil-free, high-fiber, plant-based type of thing, and it's actually, the food's delicious. We've tried very few things that we haven't liked, and it's so nice that we barely realize that there's no meat in any of it, which is nice. So tonight I am making Chilean bean stew, and it's got butternut squash and pinto beans, which my kids love pinto beans because they're squishy and buttery and creamy, and butternut squash will go really, really nicely. But it sounds amazing. I'll probably serve it with some rice or some quinoa, and it will be fabulous. But there was something, what did we have? We had something that was amazing, and I can't remember what it was. I was going to tell you about it, but yeah. It was like spiced potatoes with a bunch of stuff on top, and it was just fabulous. Like spiced roasted potatoes, but not like the thyme and oregano. It was like cumin and coriander and cinnamon and curry powder, and it was a bunch of it was sort of like shawarma potatoes. It was really, really good. And then on top there was chickpeas and some tomatoes, and it was just delicious. It came out really, oh, and spinach too, I think. We were all surprised because it did not look like it should taste that good, and it really, really did. But yeah, shawarma potatoes. That was essentially what it was. And then I've got stock going because I need stock for soup, and yeah. I think that's it for me. I don't know how often I'm going to podcast, and I don't even know if this is going to go up. We'll see. I'm fairly shy. A little bit about me. I am I'm currently a stay-at-home mom and housewife. I'm slowly working towards a degree in accounting. I am a veteran, and my husband is currently military. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. The girl is 11 going on 30, and the boy's 10. And they're pretty cute. I think I'll keep them. I'm a cancer survivor, and that's part of why I started knitting and crocheting, really. Had a few surgeries recently in the last few years, and a lot of those surgeries meant that I couldn't do a lot of things. So I ended up doing nothing, which was not okay. So I took up crocheting and knitting, and eventually knitting, because they were something that I could do without doing a whole lot. And the crocheting led me to YouTube videos, which led me to podcasts, which led me to knitting podcasts, and the knitting podcasts led me to the Hito Fude, which led me to knitting. And I watch I watch a lot of podcasters. And maybe next time I'll make a list of people that I just really enjoy watching. But a couple off the top of my head are Molly, the Homespun House, and the girl from Tea House Knits, Marcia and Scylla from the Twitch and Stitch podcast. I adore them. They're so much fun. And there's lots of others. The Bakery Bears. I love the Bakery Bears. The Bakery Bears is funny to me because they're so much like me and my husband, except that he had cancer instead of her. So it's funny. It's an interesting thing to watch how that plays out. Yeah. So anyway, so if you want to connect with me, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Ravelry, and of course I'm on YouTube. Probably not gonna do a whole lot of YouTube responses, but if you hit me up on Ravelry or on Instagram, I'll probably get to you. My Ravelry projects page is a disaster. I'm so bad at updating Ravelry. I can write it all down in my little book, but I seem to not be able to get Ravelry figured out as much as I would like, and it just doesn't work as efficiently for me as I would. That's the problem. It's not efficient, and it's hard to, the interface isn't as well as I would like it to be, so I struggle with it. But maybe in a couple of months, when I have a better routine, I think maybe I will try to update stuff. Maybe. No promises. Anyway, again, I'm Nellie, or KitchenSix, and I hope that you all enjoyed this, and I hope to see you again. Have a really, really great weekend. Hopefully this will be up before the weekend is over. Oh, I forgot to tell you the date. It's Friday, the 22nd of January, 2016. And this is my very, 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 very first podcast. So, thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you again. Bye, guys.